Hey, ladies and gentlemen, sorry I'm not here today. So instead of me being in class, we're going to do this video together. So you probably want headphones, you're going to need a piece of paper. We're going to go ahead and just do what we normally do. It'll just be with me on the video. So go ahead and pause the video and do your warm-up. And when you're done with the warm-up, you can turn the video back on to check it. Okay, so your warm-up says Molly currently has dyed 3 Easter eggs, and she's going to dye another egg every 4 minutes. So if we want to make a table for this situation, we need to identify what our X is. So the X should be minutes, and the Y should be eggs. And we're going to start at time 0. And because it says that she dyes another egg every 4 minutes, we're going to count the table by 4s. And we're going to start with, she already has 3 Easter eggs dyed, and she dyes another one, so counting by 1s, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we needed to write the equation. So we need to identify the slope, which is the rate of change. And so the slope is going to be 1 egg per 3 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, per 4 minutes. And then we need to identify the y-intercept, which is going to be 0,3, because that is how many eggs she started with. So then the equation should be y equals 1 over 4x plus 3. Alrighty, so what we're going to do today is we are going to practice writing these equations from stories and identifying the domain and range. So I want you to pause the video, read this question, write the equation, and then identify the domain and range. Okay, so let's start with the equation first. All right, so let's see. We know that the tree started out at 50 inches tall, so that's going to be the y-intercept at 0,50. And it's growing at a rate of 2 inches per month. So the slope would be 2 inches per 1 month. So then the equation is y equals 2 over 1x plus 50. And yes, Miss Fike would like you to write the over 1 for now. Now, to do the domain and range, we need to decide if this is a situation that continues on forever, or if it has a start and stop. Now, since this tree could essentially keep growing forever, it doesn't have a stopping point. So that means our domain is just going to have 1 restriction, and so is our range. So the least amount of time that we're ever going to talk about, because X is our months, so the least amount of time we're ever going to be talking about is 0 months. We're not going to go back in time, but the months can continue to increase. And the least amount of height that we're going to talk about, which is the y, is going to be the starting height of 50 inches. So the domain and range should look like that. So if you look at this one, go ahead and pause the video, read it, write the equation, identify the domain and range. When you're done, unpause the video and check your answer. Okay, so Jamie loves jelly beans. I hate them, but apparently Jamie likes them. So she bought a package containing 32 jelly beans and eats 4 of them every minute, right? In an equation for the situation. So let's see. The y-intercept is how many jelly beans she started with, which is 32. And the rate of change, let's see, she's eating them, so that means the number of them are decreasing. So she has 4 less jelly beans every 1 minute. So the equation would be y equals -4 over 1x plus 32. Make sure that it's negative because the number of jelly beans are decreasing. So then the domain and range, again, we need to decide if we have a stopping point for this story, and we do. Even though it doesn't explicitly say it in the story, we know that eventually Jamie is going to run out of jelly beans. So we need to figure out what our domain is going to be. So we know that if we have starting and a stopping point that we need to fill out the domain and range like this. The X stands for minutes, the Y stands for jelly beans. So the least number of minutes we're talking about is 0, and it's going to take 8 minutes for all of the jelly beans to be gone. And so the least number of jelly beans that we're going to have is 0, and the most amount of jelly beans we're going to have is 32. So your domain and range looks like that. All right, so read this one, write the equation, identify the domain and range, then unpause the video, and we will go over it. All right, so Mason collects stamps. He currently has 35, so that is our y-intercept. So the y-intercept is 0, 35, and the slope says that he adds another stamp once every 5 months, so that's 1 stamp per 5 months, so your slope is 1 over 5. So the equation is y equals 1 over 5x plus 35. And then for your domain and range, you need to decide if it has a starting and a stopping point or just a starting point. And Mason could essentially keep collecting stamps forever. So it does not have a stopping point. So the least number of months we're talking about is 0. And the least amount of stamps we're talking about is 35. Last one, read it to yourself. Write the equation, identify the domain and range, unpause the video when you're done to check your answer. All right, so Josh has to write a 12-page research paper, and it takes Josh 3 hours to write 2 pages. So the starting amount of pages that he needs to write is 12. And the slope is going to be decreasing because the number of pages Josh still has left to write decreases over time. Decreases by 2 pages per 3 hours. So our equation looks like this. The domain and range is going to have a starting and a stopping point because eventually Josh will be done writing this paper, which is good news for Josh. So your domain and range are going to have this format. The least amount of time we're talking about is 0. And let's see, how long does it take Josh to write all of this? 2 pages every 3 hours, so 18 hours. Woo, long time, Josh. And then the number of pages left to write, the least amount would be 0, and the most would be 12. I have put an assignment on Schoology for you to practice this. So at this time, you can end the video, go to Schoology, do your assignment. You can either do it on a separate sheet of paper or in Notability. Either is fine. And then I have also assigned 3 Khan Academy objectives for this week. So you guys have plenty to do, and I will see you tomorrow.